Alright, so yesterday, I'm just recording this little thing for period 4 and 8, and then I'm just going to make them watch it. It should be like 10 minutes max. Yesterday, we had this problem. It was r equals 12 over 3 times 5 cosine theta. And what you guys told me to do was to divide the top model by 3. I learned that the eccentricity was 5/3, therefore it was a hyperbola. The focus is at the pole. EP is 4, so we learned that P is 12/5. We know that the directrix is to the left of the pole. This is exactly what we did yesterday, right? Give me some vigorous head nods.
We went farther than that.
We went a little farther than this, yeah. Then I said, figure out all the things, and then I gave you a hint, which is convert to rectangular. So we did all math, and then I think we actually finished it, and it turned out that it was x plus 15/4 squared over, divide both sides by 81, so that's like 81/16 minus y squared over 9 equals 1. And I was very happy with that, basically, because it told me all of the things that I needed to know about this hyperbola. In particular, I see that the center is at negative 15/4, comma 0. That's good information. Also, I can find out what A is. A is 9/4. Yeah, and B is 3, and then we can find C, right?
You just put it with the eccentricity.
Yeah, so there are 2 ways to find C. One way to find C is, there are actually 3 ways to find C, I think. One way to find C is to just do the Pythagorean theorem here, right? So if we take A squared, that's going to be 81/16 plus B squared, which is 9, that would give us C squared, right? Okay, and now, if I get a common denominator here, 9 times 16 is 144, so that's 81 plus 144, plus 144. Can someone take a peek to make sure I'm still in frame?
8 plus 144. Yeah.
Over 16 equals C squared. So what's 81 and 144?
Oh, whatever 225.
225, yeah, 225/16. So therefore, I learned by doing math that C is 15/4. But that actually makes total sense that C would be 15/4 because the focus is at the pole, so the focus is like 0, 0. I think I said all this yesterday, by the way.
Yeah.
And then the center, I now learned from converting to rectangular that the center is at negative 15/4, comma 0. And therefore, of course, C is 15/4, because C is the distance from the center to the focus, yeah?
Wait, so we didn't need to do any of that?
Actually, yeah, I didn't need to do this step as soon as I learned that the center was at negative 15/4, but this confirms that it all works. And then the third way to do it, which is I think what we actually did in class, was to just say the eccentricity is 5/3, so once I find A, I can just find C that way. Okay, and basically everything was fine and we were kind of done. Is this pretty much where the bell rang?
Yeah.
I think so. Okay, good. There's another way to do this entire problem. Instead of doing all of this like mindless algebra and converting to rectangular and hoping for the best that it all works out and you don't make any mistakes, instead you could do something which I consider to be smarter and more interesting because it involves actual thinking. And that is, we could get this equation by just figuring out what A, B, and C are geometrically. And we kind of started to do this a little bit yesterday, and then a couple people after school did it, right? And you guys pretty much did this, right? Okay, can you get us started? What was the general gist?
Alright, so D is equal to A squared over C, and then you also know that the E is equal to C over A, and you know what E is, so you square E.
Yeah, okay, and you're saying a whole bunch of crap. She's saying, yo, I have all these formulas. I have one formula that says that D is A squared over C. That's true. I have another formula that says that E is C over A. And can I somehow, do I know what D is yet? No. Actually, so pretending that we haven't done all this stuff over here, what are the things I know and what are the things I don't know? I know E, I know P, and that's about it, right? I don't know A, B, C, or D. But there was a relationship between P, D, and C that we learned in class yesterday, right? Yeah, because the distance from the center to the focus is C. The distance from the center to the directrix is D. And the distance from the directrix to the focus is P. So I think this is how you guys did it, right? You set up an equation, D plus P equals C. And now one of these I know. I already know P, right? So I get D plus 12/5 equals C. Okay, so somehow from this fact, can we figure out what one of those is?
Yeah.
Who has an idea? I don't care, anyone, doesn't matter. Ryan?
We know that centricity is 5/3, so then if you just solve for one of those and put it in, then we have 2 variables.
Pretty much. What? Say it again?
You could get a system of equations if you put in 5/3 of E, and then you have like 3 equations and 3 variables. So then
Yeah. Okay. Could someone tell me like specifically what to do? Is that what you were gonna say?
You can also, well, you subtract 12/5 from both sides, substitute in C minus 12/5 for D, and then you have a 2-variable system of equations if you substitute.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I guess I should start listening to you guys, right? So wait, but like, so what? So I should stick in replace D with A squared over C like that? No.
I mean,
I was talking about solving there and replacing it in there, and you're talking about the other way around.
Oh, okay. So solve for D here.
It doesn't matter.
I guess it doesn't matter. So D is C minus 12/5 like that.
Yeah.
And then D is also A squared over C.
Yeah.
So, okay, now I see what you're talking about. So C minus 12/5
Yeah.
equals A squared over C. But on the other hand, it's also true that C over A is 5/3. Okay, everyone take this. Does everyone see how we got all these? So now do that. Solve for A and C. Go. Fausto and Ryan?
Yeah.
Just take like a giant, yeah. No. Fausto, back up. Ryan, go down low. Down low.
Yes, down low.
Yeah, like that. Good.
Okay.
Perfect.
He's giving you permission to sleep.
No, he'll catch me on video if I sleep.
It's rough.
Okay, it worked. I think I did it the long way. I did, yep. So I got A is 9/4 and C is 5/3 times that, which is 15/4. So do you see how we could have avoided converting to rectangular at all, because once I know that C is 15/4, then that immediately tells me where my center is, right? And once I know what A is, and I know what C is, I could just solve for B using the Pythagorean theorem, and then I could just write my equation straight from my knowledge of the letters. Is everyone cool with that? Yeah.
Could you like plug in pi to pi
Oh.
A?
Then there's the super awesome way that you came up with this yesterday, right? Or June did.
June did.
June did. And then you're sitting in his seat. There's something magical about that seat. And now he's coming up with the exact same idea. Which is, yeah, what they're saying is even cooler. What they're saying is, yo, is there some just like fast way that we could just figure this out like right away? And the answer is yes. He says, can we just plug in some numbers and just like try some crap? Yeah, plug in, we're going to talk more about this tomorrow. Plug in pi for, is that what you plugged in, pi?
Yeah.
Yeah, he plugged in pi for theta. When you plug in pi for theta, what happens?
-1.
You get -1, so that's 5 plus 3, so that's 8, so that's 12/8. So that's 3/2. So apparently, when theta equals pi, r equals 3/2. How about when theta equals 0?
-6.
Cosine of 0 is 1, right? So now that's 3 minus 5, so that's -2, so that's -6. So what does this mean? Well, basically, yeah, June/Jeff G says, yo, if this is my focus, when theta is 0, apparently r is -6. In other words, when I'm at 0, I'm supposed to go back 6. So I guess that's like this one, right? So that means this whole thing must be 6. Picture getting kind of crazy. And when theta is pi, in other words, when I'm pointing this way, r is 3/2. So this distance must be 3/2. And that's a fact. And so I actually they just immediately found the locations of the vertices.
Can you write not to scale at the bottom?
It's kind of not very good to scale, right? It's actually not terrible either. Well, it's kind of terrible. So what's the average of -3/2 and -6?
9/4.
-9/4, right? No. Wait, try that again. The 6 is like 12/2, so 12/2 and 3/2 is 15/2. Divided by 2 is 15/4.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry, I was naming the wrong number.
Yep. So it turns out that once I have the vertices, I immediately know where the center is. That's kind of cool, right? I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, and once you have the center, then a lot of you were realizing that, well, now everything just falls into place, right? Because once I know what the center is, I know what C is. Once I know what C is, I know the eccentricity, so I know A, etc., etc., etc. Okay, how are we feeling about all this? Good. Say goodbye to period 4 and 8. Period 4 and 8.
Bye.
If you want to do something goofy, you have 5 seconds. Oh my God.